Alright everyone, let's clear up the basics. What exactly is a review article, and just as importantly, what it is not. So this is the foundation of everything as we will talk about. A review article is essentially a synthesis of knowledge. That means you are not doing a brand new experiment, you are not collecting fresh data from a lab or survey. Instead, you are taking studies that already exist and you are collecting them, organizing them, and then this is the crucial part, you are interpreting them. So the purpose is to answer bigger questions like what patterns exist across studies, where are the strengths and weaknesses in the evidence, what gaps remain for future research. So that's the job of a review article. Now students, let me explain this with a metaphor I love, the map versus the journey. So every primary study is like a journey. One research team sets out, test one idea in one place with one set of methods. So it's single path, a single trip. So students, a review article on the other hand is a map. It shows all the journeys that have already been taken in a field. You can see where many teams went down the same road, where some took different routes, where trials overlapped, and even where the path ended in a dead end. And importantly, a good review also shows where the roads are still missing. So that's the gap your map reveals. So if primary studies are about discovering new ground, reviews are about making sense of the terrain as a whole. Now that we know what a review article is, let's talk about why reviews exist at all. What purpose do they serve for the reader? I like to think of a review as making 5 promises to anyone who opens it. If your review keeps these promises, it will always be valuable. Students, the first promise is compression. Imagine there are 200 studies in your field. No policymaker, no student has a time to read them all one by one. So your review compresses that massive pile of papers into something manageable, maybe 20 pages, sometimes even less. So you are saying to the reader, I will do the heavy lifting, so you don't have to. So this is a huge service to the community. The second promise is structure. If you just put all 200 papers in a pile, it's chaos. Different methods, different populations, different outcomes. So a review brings order. You group studies into themes, maybe by methods, maybe by outcomes. So instead of drawing in a random data, the reader sees a clear, logical architecture. You are telling them, here's how to think about this field. And the third is evaluation. Not all studies are equal. Some are strong, well-designed, randomized trials. Others are small or poorly measured. So your job is not just to list results, it's to weigh them. Okay, you point out strengths and weaknesses, you acknowledge biases. Okay, so that's why the reader is not fooled into thinking a weak study carries the same way as a strong one. Students, the fourth is integration. Sometimes studies say different things. Study A find an effect, study B find no effect. So the reader could be confused, but your review explains why. Maybe one had a small sample, maybe populations were different, maybe the methods varied. So integration means you don't just report finding, you explain how they fit together or why they don't. So you are like the translator making sense of conflicting voices. And the fourth is direction. A good review doesn't just summarize the past, it points to the future. So you show the gaps. You still don't know X. You don't have studies in Y population. You need better measures for Z. So this is gold for young researchers. It literally tells them where the next opportunities are. So students, to sum up, reviews exist because they compress information, structure it, evaluate its quality, integrate across differences, and finally give direction for what comes next. So if you keep these 5 promises in your writing, your review will not just inform, it will guide the field. So take 10 seconds, look at these 5 words. Which of them do you think is the hardest to do well? Compression, evaluation, integration? So I would love to hear your thoughts. So dear students, what it is not. Notice that this is also tells us what a review article is not. It's not reporting fresh lab data. It's not a simple chronological list of who did what. And it's not just your opinion. It's structured interpretation based on evidence. So in one sentence, a review article is the map that helps other researchers navigate the landscape of evidence. So that's why reviews are so valuable. They help readers see the bigger pictures without having to track through every single study themselves. So, dear students, does that make sense so far? Think about your own area of research. What would the map of your field look like? Students, every review article, no matter if it's narrative, scoping, systematic, or even a meta-analysis, rests on the same 6 essential ingredients. So think of these as the recipe. If any ingredients is missing, your review will feel incomplete. Let's go through them one by one, okay? So the first is you need a clear review question. Without a guiding question, your review will wander. The scope will either be too broad or too narrow. So the second is a transparent approach to the literature. This means tell your reader where you researched, databases like PubMed, Scopus, Web of Science, so how you searched and what criteria you use to include or exclude studies. Then third is you need an organized evidence base, and this doesn't have to be fancy. You can make a simple evidence table, but without organization you won't be able to see patterns later. So the fourth is you need a synthesis strategy. This is the heart of your review, how you make meaning out of all those studies. So remember, synthesis is not a summary. It's where you transform scattered studies into a coherent message. Then fifth is you must provide critical appraisal. Strong reviews put stronger evidence at the center, and weak studies might still be mentioned, but they are clearly flagged as limited. And finally, your review needs implications. This is where you answer the so what question for theory, for practice or policy, for research. So a good review doesn't just like backwards, it points the field forward, okay? So those are the 6 essential ingredients: a clear question, a transparent approach, organized evidence, a strategy for synthesis, critical appraisal, and clear implications. So if you keep these in mind, your review will have both structure and impact. Now, students, I would like you to reflect which of these 6 ingredients do you think students tend to neglect the most? Any guess? Okay, this slide is one of the most important lessons about writing reviews. Let's see what happens when we simply dump result versus when we actually synthesize them. So we will use a small example, 5 studies on school-based program for reducing anxiety. Here are the studies. Study A, 4-week workshop, no effect. Study B, 12-week course, moderate reduction. Then study C, 10-week course with parent sessions, large reduction. Then study D, 4-week online module, tiny effect. Then 12-week course, low attendance, small reductions. So 5 different journeys, all in the same area. Now here's what a bad review paragraph looks like. Study A found no effect, study B found a moderate reduction, study C found a large reduction, then study D found a tiny effect, study E found a small reduction. So that's it. Can you see the problem? This is not really helping the reader. It's just repeating what each study found, one after the other. So no connections, no patterns. The reader could have learned the same thing just by skimming the abstracts. So now compare that to a synthesized version. Across school-based programs, duration and family engagement matter. Intervention lasting 10 weeks or more, and especially those including parents, show large reduction in anxiety. So in contrast, 4-week format rarely help. Low attendance also seems to blunt the effect of otherwise strong programs. So notice the difference. Now we are not just listening. We are not just listing, we are making a claim. So students, why is this better? Because it does 4 things at once: claim, pattern, reasoning, gap. So this is exactly what synthesis look like. So the move from chaos to clarity is all about grouping studies, pulling out patterns and then explaining why those patterns exist. That's how you transform 5 disconnected findings into one clear takeaway that guides the field. So let's practice. Take one of your own topics, write one sentence that synthesizes several findings, not just a list but a pattern statements. So the students' typical structure include introduction, why the topic matters, what's unclear, what your review adds, then methods or approach, then synthesis, then limitations, and at last conclusion and future direction. 3 to 5 crisp takeaways, specific testable next questions. Now students, check the quality of your review article. Clear review questions and scope, transparent search or selection, studies grouped into meaningful themes, not chronology, synthesizing claim, head each theme, claims supported by multiple studies with contrast explained, and basic appraisal of study quality and bias, gaps and next steps clearly stated, figure or tables that summarize, evidence map, theme table, not decorate, okay.